Tom, let's say somebody was on disability, on Medicaid, but they were under 65. We could create what was called a irrevocable special needs trust for the disabled. It's typically a first party trust where the person that's on Medicaid is the person creating it. And with that, they have the pleasure of appointing a trustee. The trustee takes care of all their finances. The state is a beneficiary for recovery on that one. But the person gets to keep all the money, keep all the proceeds, and the trustee can spend that money however they want for their loved ones.
So we set up the special needs trust. This settlement money goes into the special needs trust. The family manages on behalf of the nursing home resident. They're using it for supplemental things like gifts and cell phone and TV, whatever might be needed.
Exactly.
But also the special needs trust says that someday when the nursing home resident does pass away, whatever's left over is going to be used to reimburse the state of Florida.
And so when people are very proactive in planning, like you are, Tom, with estate planning. So let's say a husband and wife come and they have a disabled child that's on disability, right, and on Medicaid. So at that point, you can create a revocable trust for the family with a special needs trust incorporated in that language, and that will allow for them not to have the state as the beneficiary. They can have their normal beneficiary chain because they've planned it in advance. So when you're doing your estate plan, you can save them a lot of trouble down the road.
So they're both called a special needs trust, but in one situation it's required that when the person who's got the benefit of this money passes away, that money has to go to reimburse state of Florida for the nursing home expenses. The other one would say that when the person that has the benefit of the money passes away, you can dictate what happens to that money, including going to your other children.
Absolutely. And with the trust that you're doing at the estate planning level, that can be a revocable trust. But when we get to the Medicaid level, that has to be an irrevocable trust.
Yeah. So two types of special needs trust. They both have the same exact name, but they serve different purposes. The one that we do really quite often for people is a parent that has a child that is on disability, and that's where we're going to, if we were to leave that the parent's wealth to that child outright, the child's disability would end, and so we put that child's money instead into a special needs trust.
That is the perfect thing to do.
And they get to keep their disability.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Now, people might say, well, the disability payments are only a few $100s a month, but one of the real benefits of being on disability is that you get Medicaid.
Yes.
So you get all your health care is taken care of. And that's where the real value can be.
Especially because you have to think if they're young when they're on Medicaid and recovery, let's say they're not at a skilled nursing facility, the recovery is not as great, but over a period of years, the expense that Medicaid pays out is a great deal. So if they can protect it, and then God forbid when that loved one passes, it can go to their other children, right? And so it just continues to go on. It doesn't end and all go to the state of Florida for recovery.
Robert, I guess I'm surprised pretty often about how many parents we meet with that do have a child on disability, whether they got hurt somewhere down the road before or other kinds of issues that would cause them to be entitled to disability.
Yeah, it really is, because that's not the norm, right? So you're not thinking about it. So a lot of times in our interviews with clients, we have to be proactive.
Caller Phil.
Do you have a child that has a disability or special needs, so we can do the proper planning?